Well, Mia O'Brien, no Taylor Dahl yet today. She is back in town, but not feeling so hot, so she'll rejoin us hopefully tomorrow. But I will say that throughout Duval County, since Sunday, the name Devin Lloyd, and I even mentioned him yesterday, was a name that everybody had pegged for the reason that the Raiders had that easy 71-yard touchdown to Davante Adams. But in fact, now all of Duval can hate on Antonio Johnson because Jeff Lageman broke it down so eloquently on Jaguars Today.
Well, but that was on the heels of there also being a notion that it should have been Jarian Jones on that handoff, who
so true.
Initially was the first guy, technically right there when the crossing route occurred by Davante Adams. You could also make the argument, as Jeff Lageman just did so eloquently on Jaguars Today, that perhaps Monteric Brown should have switched off. I'm going to go right to the top, quite honestly, Lauren, and say, and this is ultimately, I think, more of a Coach Campo conversation, but from my viewpoint, if you've got one player who's in man coverage and everyone else is in zone, which is totally fine, that's a scheme that you can run, you need to trust that one player. In fact, you need to trust all 11 players to understand, hey, what his assignment is different than your assignment. And much like against the Houston Texans, when Andre Sisco was supposed to guard the post route and bit because he thought, ooh, maybe I can gamble a little bit here and jump the route and maybe I can pick off C.J. Stroud. And instead, he left Tank Dell sprinting to the back of the end zone only for Ronald Darby to make a great play and come across from the top of the play. If not for that, I mean, that's a wide open touchdown. And I think it once again speaks to a conversation of not just execution, everyone's favorite word here in this town, but also the idea of know your job, know your role, understand that because you do one thing, that affects the entire operation. And that, I think, that's not just the defense in Jacksonville. That's also like the offensive philosophy and the idea of this disjointed play calling of like, okay, well, I'm just going to draw up a route so BTJ like can get vertical, right? Well, you want to set up that play action opportunity by running the football, do you not? You don't want to just be, we're just going to keep chucking it downfield play after play, or we're just going to go bubble screen, and there's no payoff. It's that bigger picture that I think on both sides of the ball, the players perhaps are not understanding, and certainly the coaches aren't either.
Certainly when it comes to the defense, you can watch the game, and we talked about this yesterday. Is it the players? Is it the coaches? The answer to me on those busted coverages, it's both. It's the coaches not putting the players in the right position or maybe not choosing the right players to be out on the field. And then it's also when those players are out on the field, there are miscommunications. And I've always thought that with Foye Oluokun out there as the captain of the defense and certainly the middle linebacker, the voice, that he'd be able to kind of line everyone up week in and week out like he has done here. But somehow, some way, whatever his communication is coming from the sidelines is not translating to the field, because I have literally never seen an NFL team with the type of wide open plays that they've allowed and those explosive plays that they've allowed week after week. I have never seen it like that. I mean, there was no one around Davante Adams on Sunday at times, and that's been the case for the week before with the Titans. Chigakwanko, he was wide open. I mean, just wide open, uncovered. There is a massive issue with the defense,
and
obviously.
A better quarterback identifies that.
Yeah, Mason Rudolph, probably that's a touchdown.
Mason Rudolph probably going to be playing in 2 weeks when the Titans come to the bank for round 2 between those foes. I also think that brings to the conversation, not to jump the gun here a little bit, Lauren, but did you watch any of the Las Vegas Raiders last night, led by the fearless Desmond Ridder, who had an opportunity against his former team, the Atlanta Falcons, late to win this ball game? Obviously, it didn't necessarily go quite the storybook ending that the Ridder fans would have liked, but as awful
are there Ridder fans?
As awful as he was at times, they did move the ball. And part of that was a couple great plays by his playmakers and getting out of bounds at the appropriate time and some nice catches. But I didn't think, like Ridder looked bad. Don't get me wrong. There were moments where he looked bad, but there were other moments where, akin to Will Levis, I was like, against this defense that sometimes can have a brain fart or two, I could see him taking advantage. Now, the expectation, Aiden O'Connell did warm up pregame last night, was ultimately ruled to be the emergency third-string quarterback. They gave him the night off. I would expect him to be the quarterback, and not that he is so much, not that that's a significant step up from Desmond Ridder. It is a step up, though. And so I'm fascinated to see, because that was the conversation coming into this past week's matchup with the Jets. Aaron Rodgers can make you pay, unlike Will Levis. Can Aiden O'Connell or Desmond Ridder make you pay like Aaron Rodgers? Or is this just going to be another opportunity for the Jags solely because of the ineptitude at the quarterback position on the other side?
Well, Mac Jones, I think that's how I would describe him. Flashes of good at times, and then in critical moments makes decisions that he would want back. And Doug Peterson spoke to that certainly yesterday, that those 2 interceptions that Mac threw on Sunday, that he'd love to have those back and he shouldn't have thrown those balls. And look, at the end of the day, Mac Jones is a guy that probably doesn't get another starting opportunity in this league. So go have
bridge
fun
quarterback.
The last 3
No,
games.
see, I think he'll get a bridge quarterback job somewhere.
I don't think so. I mean, maybe if the final 3 games he puts a little bit better stuff on tape, but I don't think that there's an NFL team out there right now that watching his tape throughout.
Well, let me rephrase.
The games
Let
he
me
started, that they'll
rephrase
say,
that.
I want him to be my starter.
Let me rephrase that. The New York Giants are going to select number 1 or number 2 overall, and they are going to select either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. Can we agree on that?
They'll select very high, yes.
And they are selecting a quarterback.
They are definitely selecting a quarterback.
I could see them bringing in Mac Jones, and as much as the plan would be for the rookie to start, they would say the rookie needs to earn it, akin to when Kurt Warner was signed, when Eli Manning was drafted, and we all knew that Eli Manning was going to be the starter. Now, granted, that was a different time and place 20 years ago,
Yeah.
and Kurt Warner did start.
Now.
Correct, but at the same time, much like Gardner Minshew was signed in Indianapolis last year when Anthony Richardson was drafted number 4 overall, and everyone knew the Colts were most likely going to go quarterback in the first round. And so I would equate it to a Colts situation from 23 that I think Mac Jones could find himself in.
Interesting. It's as a possibility. It feels like nowadays, the way the Bears had, Caleb Williams and Justin Fields, they could have had both at one point in time, and they decided to get rid of Justin Fields, even though in theory you could have two of those quarterbacks. A lot of times it does seem like the top quarterback taken in the top 10, top 15, they don't really want a lot of pressure. They don't want a lot of competition surrounding them. I don't know why they go that route, but that's the way it seems like most teams go.
I would disagree with that and push back only because I think Tyson Bagent would tell you, Lauren, that he was competing with Caleb Williams to be the starter. I would argue that a second-year quarterback in Tyson Bagent would be more of a quote-unquote competitor and maybe not accepting his role as willing, as opposed to an Andy Dalton in Carolina, where he was literally brought in to be a mentor and an emergency fill-in for Bryce Young his rookie season, much like Joe Flacco has now taken that role for Gardner in Indianapolis with Anthony Richardson. Joe Flacco is not pushing Anthony Richardson to take his starting job, even though he did for a little bit of time there. That was a coach's decision. And I think it also was a reflection of maybe AR not seizing the moment and fulfilling the expectations set forth for him. I think when it came to Bryce Young, it's an unfortunate situation because there was a coaching change, and ultimately that time sitting on the bench was ideal for him. Obviously, extremely unfortunate that Andy Dalton was forced out of the starting lineup, not because of a coaching decision, but because he and his family were in a car crash, and that's unexpected, to say the least. But then that brought Bryce Young back to the starter role, and he has held on to it ever since. Point being, yes, I agree with you, the idea of if you're going to draft a quarterback in the first round, you would love for them to be your starter day one. I also think that you need to go in with somebody there. And I don't think Mac would go in and say, I'm competing with Cam Ward for the starting role. If he did, it would be more like Gardner Minshew, right, in Indianapolis last year, where he said, I'm competing with AR for the starting role, but he understood that the future of the franchise was number 5, not him.
Yeah, if I'm the head coach, I don't mind competition at the quarterback spot to push both people pushing one another. But the NFL traditionally, now the Vikings went in and did it a different way this year with having both Sam Darnold and then drafting J.J. McCarthy as well. They decided to go that route and bring J.J. along a little bit slower. Maybe they believed that he didn't show enough at Michigan because Michigan was certainly a run-first team.
He's also 21 years old.
Yeah, we all know with Harbaugh. But a lot of those guys that are drafted, Trevor certainly young, Anthony Richardson young. A lot of them spend only 3 years in college and then head to the NFL draft. But it's always fascinating to see how teams end up handling the quarterback situation, because we have seen like a Patrick Mahomes, so very recent history, sit and then look at how fantastic he's been ever since he sat. Did that help him? What if Trevor Lawrence had sat the first year when Urban Meyer was here? Would that have helped him greatly? You never know how the end result is going to be. But as far as the Jags Raiders are concerned, there's not going to be a whole lot of juice in that stadium on Sunday. Just like it felt to me, there wasn't a lot of juice in the stadium at Everbank. I felt like louder as the game went on, and the Jags certainly had a chance to win. But to kick off that game to start, it was like, oh, right, these are definitely 2, 3, and 10 teams.
Hey, now, Lauren, RJ, let's give a round of applause to our friends at Circa, our good friends at Circa, who will be hosting us this weekend in Las Vegas. We did, here at the Superstation, exceed our allotment of those of you who took advantage of that Circa package to get 3-night stay, a $250 food and beverage credit, and a day bed at Stadium Swim. We were one of the biggest of any of the flagship stations of the away opponents, the visiting opponents for the Raiders this season that Circa hosts and graciously welcomes into their venue. We were one of the biggest sellers of any market here in the city of Jacksonville the weekend before Christmas. I agree with you. I don't think there's going to be a lot of juice.
There'll be juice at Circa. Stadium Swim.
I do think you're going to see more Jaguar fans than you anticipated. I also think that it's going to be an interesting venue because by nature of what Las Vegas is, I don't think it's going to be like 88% Raiders fans and 12% Jaguar fans. I think it's going to be like 50% Raiders fans, 25% Jaguars fans, and 25% other who are just in Las Vegas and want to see a football game. That's this fascinating social science experiment that's currently going on right now in the desert.
I think it's going to be 50% capacity. That's what I think it's going to be. But we will be there, and Circa's going to be an absolute blast. All right, Doug Peterson met with media yesterday, and certainly following the game where we saw Ronald Darby not play in the secondary, but we did get to see some of the young guys play more, like a Buster Brown. Doug was asked about seeing Trey Prince and the young guys play more as we head to the end of the season.
You know, I think about Trey Prince, right? He's been active a lot this year, but just hasn't seen the field as much. So I think that's a great example, you know, of a guy that's and a young player who, you know, dresses and really I want to see defensively and also on special teams, you know, what he can do. And this will be a good time to, you know, get that done.
I'm glad the question was asked specifically about Trey Prince because initially the question of will we see younger players was kind of met with a vanilla response of, well, yeah, like if we can play them, we will. And that's it. Ronald Darby did not play a defensive snap on Sunday. And while that allowed for an extended audition for Monteric Brown, it is interesting that you didn't see much at all of Trey Prince, not just on Sunday, but throughout the course of the last 2-3 weeks since the Jaguars were mathematically eliminated from the postseason, because at this juncture, you need to see what you have, even if you, the decision makers, may or may not be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to at least from a philosophical program building perspective, see what those young guys have, even if it's in a limited sample size.
And as of now, Mia, unless they've been told otherwise, they have to believe and operate as if they are having the same job that they have now next year. Because unless they've been told otherwise, and if that was the case, then I'm sure we would all know that by now, then they have to proceed as if they are the head coach and the general manager, the offense coordinator, the defensive coordinator for next year. And so you absolutely need to see what you have in Trey Prince. I would love to see Javon Foster get some snaps along the offensive line. Take Anton Harrison out for a little bit. Put Javon Foster in. Anton has...
Numbers game, Lauren. Numbers game. Only 48 can dress. I'm sure that would be the response.
Maybe, but like you drafted this guy in the 4th round. We haven't seen a snap out of him. And certainly Jordan Jefferson, a guy that has played in limited capacity as well. And you're starting to see more snaps, certainly for Mason Smith. But Keelan Robinson, I wouldn't mind seeing him get a few carries. Like, let's just see what is available because, again, you're not doing anything this season other than evaluating at this point.
Dearness Johnson inactive the last 2 weeks, so I do think this is their attempt to see more of Keelan Robinson. It's been interesting. You haven't seen him on the field when the offense is on the field. You've seen him in special teams, which is largely why he was drafted, but I would like to see a little bit more of an opportunity for the 5th-round pick out of Texas. Yes, whether they're here or not, these decision makers are being paid to do a job, and part of your job is to evaluate where these young players are and where they are to come, because you are what your tape says you are. And if you don't have tape of these guys, then whoever's making the decision won't have proof of concept.
Exactly. All right. When we come back, we'll continue that Jags-Raiders conversation, get it to some college football today as well. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on an Epic Cool Heating and Air Tuesday. You can find them online at epichvacservice.com or call 904-859-EPIC. Mention 1010XL for exclusive discounts, and there are discounts for military, police, and first responders. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
He's fearless in the face of danger when entering enemy territory.
What is your mission?
Get insights and interviews from Jags beat reporter Hayes Carline when he takes you behind enemy lines. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Mia here since 1982. Closets by Design has specialized in creating dream spaces for every budget. My designer, Frances, made this process so easy. She came to my house and designed a walk-in closet that's not only beautiful, but incredibly functional for me and Bo Valentine. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation at 1-800-293-3744. Hey, and if you mention Mia or Helmets and Heels, you qualify for free base molding. Call today or visit closetsbydesign.com. Locally owned and operated here in Jacksonville.
Open enrollment is here, so it's time to secure health coverage for your family. Whether you need Affordable Care Act plans, dental, or Medicare, contact Florida First Insurance Group on University Boulevard, an award-winning Florida Blue agency well known for providing superior service. Theo Mitchelson and his team at Florida First make the process easy and stress-free with medical and dental insurance you can count on. Plus, listen to this. Based on eligibility, many people pay absolutely nothing for coverage. Contact Theo Mitchelson and the Florida First Insurance Group today and let your health be their priority. And a reminder for Florida Blue members, visit Sanitas Medical Center with 3 locations in town offering primary care, walk-in services, and on-site pharmacy and mental health support. SANITAS Medical Center, Florida First Insurance Group, and Sanitas Medical Center, a winning team in Northeast Florida.
Here of Helmets and Heels, the Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Milkshake is a holiday tradition that's back for another season. Hand-spun the old-fashioned way, this festive peppermint-flavored milkshake is made with Chick-fil-A ice cream dessert and features chips of crunchy peppermint bark. It's minty, merry, and topped with whipped cream and cherry when served in stores. Order in the Chick-fil-A app now or at your local Chick-fil-A restaurant.
Being the primary breadwinner in your marriage is a huge responsibility, but that doesn't mean you should continue to be the primary breadwinner after your divorce, too. The attorneys at the Florida Women's Law Group work hard to make sure you're not responsible for supporting your ex any more than necessary. I'm Heather Quick, owner and attorney. Learn how we can help at FloridaWomen'sLawGroup.com or call us 904-204-2359. Divorce for women, by women. Offices, Jacksonville and St. John's.
Local 234 plumbers, pipe fitters, and HVAC technicians would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and thank you to all the members and contractors for their continued support and partnership. Together, they've helped build a stronger foundation for Jacksonville since 1901. Enjoy spending time with your friends and families this holiday season. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Local 234, make the right connection. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Zahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
This is Walker Little of your Jacksonville Jaguars for Kingfish Pest Control. I've been a Kingfish customer for a while now and can confirm that their service is incredible. Not only do they protect my family from pests, Kingfish's office staff is the friendliest around. They even email me a photo of the tech before arriving at my home. Kingfish Pest Control is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Be sure to enter their Swat That Kick sweepstakes for free pest control for 3 years. Go to kingfishpest.com and tell them Walker Little sent you.
Every weekend is a Stone Cold Sports Weekend. Hey, Dan Hicken here. Watch for The Weekend with Dan on YouTube and Facebook, and I'll help you put together your sports weekend. Weekend with Dan brought to you by Stone Core. We do the outdoors better.
The time to buy an emergency generator is before you need it, not when you're sitting in the dark. Storms happen in a hurry in Florida, so be prepared. Protect your family and property with American Electrical Contracting. Call them today, 737-7770.
Don't make a bad call when it comes to servicing your home. Cooling off with a baby pool in the house to fix your air conditioning problem is a bad call. Trying to catch a wave in a flooded bathroom is a bad call. Using a burning electrical panel to make s'mores is a bad call. The next time something goes wrong, make a good call to Donovan.
Whether you need air, electric, or plumbing service, Donovan is always a good call. It's why we've been trusted by our customers for almost 40 years and why you can trust us to deliver fast, reliable service to your home. Donovan, always a good call.
Visit DonovanAC.com today.
Everything about the game has changed, except for the most important thing. What you have inside. It is what drives the game. It refuses to be ignored. It sweats everything, turns an athlete into a legend. Gatorade, is it in you?
From Gatorade Zero to Gatorade Endurance Formula and Gator Light, there's something for every athlete. Find it at your local Winn-Dixie. It's a win-win. Gatorade, official partner of the NFL. This holiday season, send someone you love a beautiful arrangement from Kuhn Flowers. Frank Frangie here, and I know that when you order from Kuhn, you'll show them how much you care. Online at KuhnFlowers.com.
Elbow pain, whether acute or chronic, can make it difficult to do normal activities like playing sports, doing household chores, or even sleeping comfortably. Dr. George Barr here, and no one wants to deal with pain without solutions on how to feel better. We've all heard of tennis and golfer's elbow, but there's plenty more that can cause pain, like osteoarthritis, muscle tears, and nerve entrapment. All are treatable at Barr Orthopedics. Getting you back to full health is our mission, and there's a number of different treatment options we can offer. Call us today or visit barrorthopedics.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Taylor Dahl will hopefully be back with us tomorrow, not feeling so hot. All right, Mia, as I look through the Raiders depth chart, outside of Brock Bowers, I'm not
By
sure.
the way, Lauren, according to the text line, Design by Lifetime Enclosures, officially was not targeted in the second half last night. Is that official? I need to know if that's actually official because 601 is saying that apparently Brock Bowers went without a target last night in the second half. I thought he at least was targeted. I remember one catch in particular up the seam.
Yeah.
It certainly wasn't what you expected Brock Bowers to finish with a stat line of 3 catches on 6 targets for 35 yards.
But that's when you switch quarterbacks, a lot of times that's, where part of the issue is. And Desmond Ridder doesn't have as strong of a hold of the offense as a guy like Aiden O'Connell, who got reps with the ones all offseason because there was a true competition between Minshew and O'Connell. But outside of Brock Bowers, I don't see another player on the Raiders depth chart that is better than any Jaguars player, of course, including Caleb on Chason. So I have to wonder, how on earth are the Raiders favored? Like, the Jaguars just went toe-to-toe with the Jets. Outside of, that second interception by Mac Jones, the Jaguars were driving and certainly could have tied and or won the game. Or I guess they could have gone for 2 and then come up short and lost the game still, but lost a really close game to the Jets with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson. And they're going to Vegas to take on this team that is absolutely worse than them, and yet Vegas has the Raiders favored by a point. Make it make sense to me, please.
I will, because my bookie has shifted the spread to a 1-point line in favor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
As of this morning, it was on my bookie, the Raiders favored by 1, and now it's moved to the Jags.
Money has come in on the Jags, yes.
I wonder if that's because of the quarterback situation like we just talked about with O'Connell and Ridder.
What's most salivating, Lauren, is this 39 over-under total line that I'm seeing, which has to be historically low. That's like Iowa-level total right now, folks, on my bookie, available in the desert right now. I guess the Texans-Chiefs 39.5 is close, surprisingly, but Patrick Mahomes is not expected to play in that game, so maybe that's more of a Carson Wentz factor than anything else. But no, I think when you look at this Raiders depth chart, when you look at this Raiders roster, yes, the only player that I say, yep, that's a Pro Bowl talent that you got to account for on either side of the ball is Brock Bowers. Caleb on Chason looked awesome last night. He's looked awesome the last 2 weeks. I don't know what juice Andre Carter, who's the linebackers coach out there, has given him, but He started putting it together. He actually has pass rush moves. He's actually the swiper who's swiping. So
maybe coaching does actually help develop players. By the way, I see the lowest over-under total in NFL history set at 28 points back in 1993.
Yeah, given the college football team I watch, I've talked about the under quite a bit over the last decade. Point being, yes, coaching does matter. Although K'Lavon Chaisson was cut by the Carolina Panthers after signing a one-year contract there, and so clearly it wasn't clicking there. It more so speaks to sometimes you have to be in, once again, the right ecosystem and the specific right role for you. He may be just such a square peg who needs to fit into such a specific square hole of playing wide 9 along the defensive front, and that's all he can be, although he did rush over a guard, I think, once or twice last night. But maybe it was in that role that he was able to gain confidence rushing opposite Max Crosby to the point now where even with a former first-round pick in Tyree Wilson opposite him, he looked like the lead dog, which is a crazy prospect if you had told me that a year ago.
I will say Chaisson kind of reminded me, obviously not nearly as talented, but the hybrid type of player of Yannick Ngakoue, where Jan is so good at one thing. Don't ask him to do anything else because he's so good at one thing. And because he's a little bit lighter of a defensive end, yeah, that you have to just concentrate on that. And so Chaisson was never obviously molded into the likes of an Ngakoue. They were never able, even though he was drafted certainly much higher than Jan was, but they were never able to get that out of him. But that does make you wonder, okay, so could there be even better things from a Trayvon Walker if the coaching is guiding him better than it has been?
Robert on the MyBookie Digital Studio says, it's funny, Chaisson has more tackles and sacks than Eric Armstead. Not wrong, of note.
And not funny, really.
I will flip the conversation on its head, Lauren, and I will ask you this. The Atlanta Falcons won by 6 points last night, which was important for some, as was noted multiple times by Chris Fowler on the broadcast. Look at the Falcons depth chart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are there players on that depth chart that you say, yes, definitively, they are better than who the Jaguars have at that position and or are Pro Bowl level talents when operating at peak efficiency?
Yeah, Bijan Robinson, excellent. Drake London, really good. Kyle Pitts could be one of the best tight ends in the entire country if his quarterback was better. Certainly there are some players on defense, too, that I think you would take ahead of the Jags as well, like a Grady Jarrett, like a Matthew Judon, a Caden Ellis. I mean, they have some players.
Both of their safeties who both had picks?
Yep, their safeties, Bates and Simmons. A.J. Terrell is a good defensive back. So, yes, the Falcons have much more talent. Kirk Cousins is not playing at the level that they expected, which is obviously why people are wondering, are we going to see Michael Penix, or why haven't we seen Michael Penix yet? And can he be better? I don't know that a rookie's going to step in and necessarily be better right away when he hasn't seen that much playing time to this point.
So my point is, if that's Kirk Cousins at his floor, where is that in comparison to where we expect Mac Jones to play with a quote-unquote more talented roster? And in turn, that's where we look at this. And the hope, of course, in the National Football League is that all games come down to the fourth quarter. They're all one-possession games because of the parity and what the league wants. I understand that. And by virtue of a salary cap and trying to make rosters as even as possible. But point is, okay, the Jags have the more talented roster. Even if the quarterback is not what you expected quarterback play to be here in Duval County circa 4 months ago. And so my question is, could you see an outcome similar to what you saw last night in the desert and even flipped on its head? Because this is a one-possession ball game. The Raiders were driving with a chance to win, and maybe if they have Aiden O'Connell in the lineup, they do score a touchdown there. And in turn, now they've beaten a more star-studded roster, so to speak.
I think sometimes teams that are average to good play down to their competition, and they almost overlook. When you see you're taking on a 2-win team on the schedule and you're much better than that, you don't, I think, even though you should, but you don't spend the same time preparing and same effort and energy that you would if you were taking on a team like the Bills or the Chiefs or the Eagles, right? So that's where I think the Falcons kind of went into that game and a little bit ho-hum.
Played not to lose, played just to get back on the winning track.
But the Jaguars are not that. The Jaguars are not a team that can play down to the competition because they are the down competition. So I can't imagine that the Jags somehow, some way don't find a way to win this game. That's basically what I'm saying. Even if Mac Jones does throw an interception along the way, I still think the Jaguars win. I still think they're far more talented than the Raiders.
Kirk Cousins threw an interception last night.
Yeah, and they still won. Exactly.
Again, if this is Kirk Cousins' stat line, 11 of 17, a $112, an average of 6.6 yards per completion, 1 touchdown, 30-plus yarder to Drake London, and then a pick, a QBR of 78.6.
We've also been around here in Jacksonville, a team very close to a team that knows it's probably not winning another game. And even if the fight and effort's there, there's the black cloud that they know and the organization kind of hopes that they don't win again. The fan base kind of hopes they don't win again. That's where the Raiders are.
Yeah.
That's not where the Jaguars are because of the quarterback situation, but that's where the Raiders are.
RJ, I think we need to have a little fun around here. Can we imagine for a second? Because 859 just gave me great fuel for the fire.
Imagine with Closets by Design.
Imagine your home totally organized.
We are counting down the weeks, folks, until Closets by Design installs my new walk-in closet. Please give Francis, Mark, the entire team, locally owned and operated, Closets by Design, a call or visit their website, closetsbydesign.com. Imagine for a second, folks, what if it's not Aiden O'Connell starting under center for your Jacksonville Jaguars? Or not for your Jaguars. Wow, okay. I'm getting to for the Las Vegas Raiders against your Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm getting ahead of myself here on Sunday. What if it's not Desmond Ridder starting for the Las Vegas Raiders against your Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday at Allegiant Stadium? Because Lauren Brooks, there's another quarterback on the active roster right now for the Raiders. And there's a quarterback on the roster. Actually, there are two. There are two quarterbacks, one on the active roster, one on the practice squad, who are not only members of the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they are from Duval County itself. And so, as 859 so eloquently said, come on, Raiders. Put Carter Bradley in. Let the Duval boys battle it out head-to-head. Providence versus Bulls. And, hey, as I alluded to, John Wolford is on the roster, too. So we've got some Kenny pride. Let's have some fun because, as we alluded to, these are two teams that, at this juncture, just looking to have fun, maybe improve their draft stock.
Can old dogs learn new tricks? We will fill you in next as we get into college football. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on an epic Cool Heating and Air Tuesday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Hey guys, it's your boy ET here. Give yourself and your partner the gift of better love in this holiday season. Let's make it a little easier for you too. Get yourself some Blue Chew. They have chewable tablets with the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, and Staxin. You can Blue Chew all online too. They have licensed medical professionals to help you find the right prescription and strengths. You don't even have to go to the doctor's office or the pharmacy. And when they mail it to you, it comes right to your front door in a discreet package. Nobody but you will know what's inside. And did I mention they make it right here in the good old US of A? Blue Chew has a great offer for you this holiday season. How does free sound? Go to BlueChew.com, consult with a licensed medical provider, and get your first month for free. That's right, I said it, free. Turn that holiday stress into some holiday cheer. Visit BlueChew.com.
Why buy from Hodges Mazda at the Avenues? Because they strive to ensure a satisfying and comfortable car buying experience. And now they are giving back. Lauren Brooks here. Hodges Mazda wants to say thank you to all educators, first responders, and healthcare providers by offering a complimentary oil change and car wash during the Mazda A Season to Move You event. Call today or schedule online at HodgesMazda.com. Come experience for yourself the Hodges Mazda difference. Free oil change not to exceed $79.99. Excludes diesel vehicles. Expires December 31st, 2024. See dealer for complete details.
Value or flavor? Price or taste? Why choose when you can get both with everyday deals at Sunny's? Right now, you can get the pork big deal for $10, the pork and rib combo for $12, and all you can eat ribs for just $19.99. Yep, you heard right. All your favorites are now available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sunny's here. Sunny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Mia here. The holidays are around the corner, and the last thing you want is a septic emergency. Call Duck Duck Rooter and schedule your septic tank pump out or full system inspection today. before Grandma and Uncle Eddie come to town. That's Duck Duck Rooter at 904-862-6769. Don't let a septic disaster be the highlight of your holiday dinner. Visit duckduckrooter.com or call today, 904-862-6769.
This is Tony Baselli, Pro Football Hall of Famer. I was known for protecting our quarterback. These days, I'm extending that protection to a different arena, your home. I have partnered with Heritage Roofing of North Florida, your premier local roofers with over 25 years of experience. Heritage is your go-to roofer for hurricane preparation with same-day inspections and estimates. They also work with all insurance companies. Let Heritage Roofing of North Florida safeguard your home and family. Visit heritagenfl.com for your free estimate today.
State license CCC 1335410.
Now, the Performance Painting High Performance Play of the Game. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
When the home team needed a big play, they would look no further than the phenom BTJ. Mac Jones would find the wide out for a 19-yard touchdown, making the score 22-17 with 10:58 left in regulation. The Brian Thomas Jr. score is your Performance Painting Play of the Game.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. Are the company's Zoom calls getting boring? Might be a good time to order some new logo caps or temporary tattoos. Check them out online at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Jacksonville contractors and business owners, do you need bathroom partitions and accessories? Frank Frangie here. Coyle & Sons has been in business in Jacksonville since 1927. They've earned the reputation of quality and specialized skill. Coyle & Sons are the ones trusted in Jacksonville by the top contractors, and they can stand on their reputation when you need almost 100 years of commercial contractor experience. Coyle & Sons will design it for you. Call them today at 904-356-4821 or visit them at coiljacks.com.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
December 17th, 2000, 49ers wide receiver Terrell Owens catches an NFL record 20 passes against the Bears.
Just 90 calories and 2.6 grams of carbs. It's a light beer that... Wait, this is a light beer? But we should really tell people about... Right, that's why I'm here. Sorry. Corona Premier, unexpectedly, light beer.
Jeff Lagerman here. Now that football season is here, make sure your ride can get to that tailgate or away game safely and dependably. You can trust the ASC certified professionals at any of the 27 independently owned Napa Auto Care Centers and the quality Napa parts they use. Napa Auto Care Centers can handle everything: oil changes, air conditioning, brakes, engines, transmissions, and more. Napa Auto Care offers a nationwide 24-month, 24,000-mile peace-of-mind warranty on most repairs. Find a Napa Auto Care Center near you. JacksNapaAutoCareGroup.com.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
The Jaguars have lost 8 games this season by 1 score or less. Head coach Doug Peterson was asked on Monday for an explanation.
That's the tough part sometimes of what we do as coaches, myself, to try to sometimes figure out the whys. Players ask us why all the time on certain things, and for me it's to find out the whys. Why are we still making some of the same mistakes? And look, mistakes are going to happen, right? I mean, they're going to happen, but we've got to do our part to minimize and really try to eliminate some of the mistakes we're making.
With your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update, I'm Andrew Gibson.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
So can an old dog learn new tricks? Well, I submit to you Dabo Sweeney.
Uh-oh.
Who got a player out of the transfer portal. That's right. His first non-reserve quarterback addition out of the transfer portal in the transfer portal's 6-year existence. He got
repeat that.
JUCO receiver.
Lauren.
Yes.
Dabo Sweeney in 6 years
has only gotten
a backup quarterback.
Reserve quarterback.
A backup
out
quarterback.
of the transfer portal.
That's it.
That is correct. And so JUCO wide receiver Tristan Smith, who played at Southeast Missouri State this past season, he had 76 catches for 934 yards. Dabo's first transfer portal player that is not a backup quarterback. So Clemson Nation ahead of this Saturday, when of course there's a massive matchup for them against Texas in Austin, this has to be huge news.
Well, but he's JUCO.
Yes.
Okay.
But it still counts.
It counts in this age of the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, that individual, that wide receiver, was at a school that's only a 2-year program.
Right, but Clemson is in the mix for a couple other players that are also non-reserve quarterbacks.
I need to hear the day that Dabo Sweeney actually goes into the portal and plucks someone from another Power 4 institution who has 2 to 3 years of eligibility remaining and is not a grad transfer. Because in my eyes, Dabo views this as not a cardinal sin because technically the player had to go somewhere. And so, well, yes, the logical place is to go into the transfer portal to formally make yourself available to any and everyone. At the same time, that player was never going to matriculate over 4 years at that institution. So I don't even think he thinks this is like full transfer portal yet. Like for him, this is a massive step forward. But the day that he does get one of those Power 4 potential rumored transfers, that is the that I eat crow, pigs fly, and the sky turns purple. It may be tomorrow, but that's okay.
There are some schools that obviously the transfer portal is not where they like to do their shopping. They want their groceries coming directly from high school. They want to mold those young men, develop them. Dabo Sweeney is obviously of that ilk. And will he change? I do believe that when he takes on Texas and he sees, for instance, a wide receiver, well, even the quarterback to the wide receiver combination for a touchdown, because Quinn Ewers is a transfer, Isaiah Bond is a transfer. So when he sees those guys connect for a touchdown, he's going to go, Steve Sarkisian got those guys from other Power 4 schools. Maybe I should too. People, I feel like, forget that Quinn Ewers is a transfer because he never really played at Ohio State. But yes, he is a transfer. And now there's a little bit of interesting rumors that Quinn Ewers might hit the portal after Texas's playoff run is over because
I was going to ask you
Texas is in love with Arch Manning.
Right. Well, I was going to ask you if you buy the smoke of not just Quinn Ewers potentially coming back, transferring elsewhere, trying to raise his profile, but Drew Aller reportedly will also return to Penn State.
Drew Aller is definitely returning. He made that announcement. Quinn Ewers has obviously not said anything yet, but if I'm Quinn Ewers, I just go into the draft. Like, he's going to be taken, I believe, in the first round. Obviously, you would get that information from scouts and things like that ahead of declaring for the draft. You can at least find out a roundabout idea of where you're going to go, but I would expect him to be drafted in the first round. So if I was him, I would say, thanks, Texas, after however the season ends, and I would take my talents elsewhere.
I think the plan was for him to go to the draft.
Correct. And so him coming back puts a little bit of a wrinkle into things for Sark.
Right. Well, especially because
the Manning family's not going to be happy.
Well, because you've pledged them so much money. And at this juncture, akin to Drew Aller, Arch Manning has indicated like he wants to play 2 years of college ball as the starting quarterback at Texas because he wants to spend 4 years in college just like his uncles and his father did. And so is he going to be okay with just playing 1 year if Quinn Ewers returns? I don't believe so. I believe he wants at least that 2 year.
And he's looked great when he's had the chance.
And so personally, I don't think Quinn Ewers is a first-round pick. I believe his stock has significantly dropped over the course of this season. Part of that, unfortunately, is injury-based because he did miss some time. He was banged up at different junctures. I think that the college football playoff is more critical for him than perhaps any other player not named Carson Beck in terms of draft stock. And I think both of those players, quite frankly, are in the same boat where they were preseason Heisman frontrunners.
That's assuming that Carson Beck can even play.
Correct. Dr. Pepper, spokesperson, competitors. Like, I think that both of those players, if they had to do it all over again, they may tell you, depending on the day of the week, that they wish they'd gone into the draft last year just because their stock was so high. But ultimately, that's always going to be betting on yourself coming back to school. Unfortunately, the bet that they hedged hasn't paid off for the two of them. And so I don't think they're both guaranteed in the first round. If they are selected in the first round, Lauren, I believe it will be in the back end, and it will just be because by nature of a quarterback services and the idea of being a first-round pick, you have the fifth-year option. Financially, that's a lot easier than what the San Francisco 49ers are up against with Brock Purdy being a seventh-round pick and his contract expiring on a rookie deal next season. The Tennessee Titans, once upon a time, waited until the second round, even though they thought about trading back into the first for Will Levis. Now he doesn't look to be the long-term answer, so that was a good play by Tennessee, ultimately, to not give up capital to go back into the first round. I could see a team doing that for one of those two players, but I think a lot of it hinges on what you see over the next few weeks.
If you were making the decision, I'm going to guess that you would take Carson Beck ahead of Quinn Ewers.
I would.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think most people would as well.
I would.
All right, so other college football news, former Florida State quarterback Luke Kromenhoek has decided he's going to go to Mississippi State. And that is fascinating to me because it's not like Mississippi State had that much better of a season than Florida State did. No. And the offense, certainly since Mike Leach passed away, has not looked great.
Well, Jeff Lebby took over a complete rebuild. Let's get that out there. And we got a chance to speak with Jeff Lebby at SEC Media Days. He's a disciple of Josh Heupel. He worked closely with Heupel for many, many years. I would say that that's the offense that you will see installed over the next few years in Starkville, which I do believe they're going to give Lebby a very long rope, because ultimately they did not with Zach Arnett, and maybe they shouldn't even have just immediately given him the full-time job to begin with. Maybe they should have kept that interim tag on him.
Went 2-10.
He took
this season.
Lebby, yeah. No, and Arnett didn't do much
Same
better.
as FSU.
Right, and Zach Arnett did not do much better in his one season at the helm of Mississippi State. Ultimately, it was going to be a tough putt to take over after a coach quite literally passed away and had such a unique identity and such a unique system that only he could truly run. There's a reason that it's been hard for other outfits in both college and the pros to replicate what both Mike Leach and Hal Mumme have created in each of their different stops in their tenure as head coaches and offensive coordinators in college football. And so that's where I think they're going to give Lebby time. I think just like in Tennessee, Josh Heupel was able to quickly turn things around in year two. Now, granted, that's with the capital that Tennessee has there on Rocky Top with the transfer portal, with NIL. And I don't know if Mississippi State necessarily has that reservoir of resources. But what I do know is that they're going to be given time, and there is a blueprint from what he saw his friend do in Tennessee.
If I was Kromenhoek, I would have chosen the other school in Mississippi. And not saying that Lane Kiffin was offering him, but if I was wanting to go to an innovative offense and wanting to play at a team that I think is going to certainly win more games than it loses, that would be Ole Miss. And again, Mississippi State could have another under 500 season. The coach could get fired. Now, what does he do in terms of Kromenhoek? So that's where it's an interesting choice to me.
It's funny you bring up Ole Miss because, and I was speaking with a couple people over the weekend about this, Jackson Dart is playing in the Gator Bowl and outwardly has said it's because the last time he was on a college football field, albeit in a win in the Egg Bowl, wasn't necessarily his best performance. You could also certainly say that his second to last game that we last saw him on national television play here in the state of Florida, right down the road in Gainesville, also not exactly perhaps his best performance of the season. So I give him a lot of credit. He's not opting out. He will play in this game. Austin Simmons, Walker Howard, ironically, 2 targets to once upon a time thought to be Florida Gators. I think that those two guys, as redshirt freshman, redshirt sophomore, will factor into the conversation for Lane Kiffin for next year. But I agree with you. I'm kind of surprised we haven't heard about any portal targets at that quarterback position from Lane so far and from the Ole Miss camp.
Ole Miss will take on Duke, and so Duke's quarterback, Malik Murphy,
is in the portal.
Oh, yeah, visiting Kentucky. So he will not play in that game. And that if he decides to go to Kentucky, I suppose Mark Stoops has yet another portal guy that he's going to start at quarterback.
But he does not have LIM at offensive coordinator, so I don't know if this portal acquisition can be saved. Luke Kromenhoek, by the way, was the top-ranked quarterback in the transfer portal when he entered last week.
In terms of Florida State, we talked briefly about it yesterday. Mike Norvell giving $4.5 million back to FSU. I saw one entity, an outlet that called it a loser's tax. So Mike Norvell has that. And then also Mike Gundy's contract was restructured and he had to take a pay cut. Of course, didn't have the season at Oklahoma State that anyone was expecting, including me, because I picked them to win the Big 12. And I
picked Utah. It's okay, Lauren. It happens to the best of us.
I loved the loser's tax phraseology because we have yet to see until this, we have yet to see a coach, give money literally into the center of excellence or whatever they're calling it in Tallahassee in order for NIL funds to go back to the players, or B, a coach take a pay cut. We never see coaches take pay cuts in the world of college football. And honestly, I love the precedent that it sets. If you lose, but you still want to keep your job, we're giving you less money.
And you know what? If that doesn't light a fire under your rear air, then I don't know what does. 307 on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Thank you for the assist. Walker Howard is in the portal. This part I don't know if we can verify. Apparently he broke up with Lane Kiffin's daughter. That part I don't know if how true that is, but Walker Howard in the portal. So only one quarterback on the current depth chart for Ole Miss is still with the program, not named Jackson Dart.
One other college football note, Indiana at Notre Dame, kickoff temperatures in the mid-20s with, of course, potential snow showers. SMU at Penn State, kickoff temperatures in the low 20s, mostly cloudy. Tennessee at Ohio State, kickoff temperatures low 20s, also partly cloudy.
Love it.
However, Clemson at Texas, low 60s and sunny. So the fact of where you are seated and whether or not you get home field advantage matters a ton. Now, granted, to a team like Indiana, is it going to matter? No, absolutely not. But Tennessee,
they're literally
and
busing
SMU,
to the game from Bloomington.
Right. But Tennessee in Knoxville and SMU from Dallas, going into those temperatures, that's not normal for them.
Especially SMU. Are you suggesting, Lauren, because it'll be 68 and sunny or whatever it's going to be in Austin, there's a chance that Dabo and the Tigers cover an 11.5-point spread on MyBookie right now?
I have no idea whether or not they'll cover. I do believe Texas wins.
Okay.
It may be a little
You're
bit
not going to go out
closer.
on that limb of like Quinn Ewers implodes. They got to throw Arch out there as a Hail Mary. You're not subscribing to that theory?
I'm not. I think Clemson is fairly lucky to get into the college football playoff, and I think Texas is really good, even though, yes, Texas failed to beat Georgia twice this season. But no, I mean, Quinn Ewers is a guy that if he does end up not playing well, you do go to Arch Manning and you don't think twice about it. That's the luxury that Steve Sarkisian has.
Speaking of Vegas, all of those lines that you alluded to pretty much across the board have come down from their initial spreads when the college football playoff 12-team field was announced.
Notre Dame is a 7.5-point favorite. Penn State, an 8.5-point favorite. Ohio State, 7.5. Texas, the 11.5.
The Indiana line has shifted again. The Hoosiers are now 7-point underdogs. And yes, 7.5 for the Buckeyes and the Vols
Coach
with
Sig
Ohio
getting
State
the
favored.
line to lower.
Look, again, they get to bust. It's basically a home game, and all he does is win. Just Google him.
It's not basically a home game because, of course, there will be, I would say, 90% Notre Dame fans, maybe 10% Indiana fans. But we shall see how all of that goes. But yeah, we'll be in Vegas for the beginning of it all on Friday at 3:30, by the way. There will be a watch party for Florida Tulane at my new favorite place. That would be Strings on Penman. So Strings at the Beach in Jack's Beach will host the Frangie Show, and you can go watch the Florida Gators take on Tulane in the Gasparilla Bowl.
They're also, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn when I say this, Lauren, there also is going to be an exciting opportunity there for free beer. Free beer if you give a donation to walk-off charities. Has that been verified just yet? I
would listen to the Frangie Show later. And
I
maybe
think
they
y'all
can confirm.
I think y'all need to go listen to the Frangie Show coming up at 4:00 because I do need that to be verified. Because if I was here in Jacksonville and not in Las Vegas, I would be sprinting to that Gator watch party on Penman at the new Strings Sports Brewery.
I can literally sprint because it's right down the street from our house. Our highlights are on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels. It is an epic Cool Heating and Air Tuesday. Hopefully our highlights are epic. You can find them online at epichvacservice.com or call 904-859-EPIC. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
A sturdy defense keeps your end zone safe like a superior fence keeps your family and pets safe.
It's fantastic.
After the game, catch the Superior Fence and Rail Defensive Player of the Game.
What a baller.
On 1010XL.
If you want to save thousands on a premium pre-owned vehicle, then you got to get to Arlington Toyota today because it's the final days of Inflation Fighter savings going on now. You heard that right. Only days remain to score Inflation Fighter savings at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. That means it's the final days to put just $500 down and $288 per month for a pre-owned 2021 Toyota Corolla at Arlington. Or you choose a pre-owned 2021 Camry, RAV4 or Tacoma for just $500 down and $388 per month puts you in the driver's seat. Take that, inflation. Plus, Arlington's lot is packed with over 600 vehicles. Trust me, I was there this morning. It is packed, and the red and white tent is up. You even get 60 days to love your purchase or exchange it. If you want to fight inflation and score a new ride, don't wait. The final days to get inflation fighter savings at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Shop in person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Hey guys, Taylor Doll here of Helmets and Heels. The Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Milkshake is a holiday tradition that's back for another season. Hand-spun the old-fashioned way, this festive peppermint-flavored milkshake is made with Chick-fil-A ice cream dessert and features chips of crunchy peppermint bark. It's minty, merry, and topped with whipped cream and cherry when served in stores. Order in the Chick-fil-A app now or at your local Chick-fil-A restaurant.
AA Automotive helps keep your car in dependable travel condition. Stop in today. They'll check the brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and AC to get you right back to your holiday plans. AA Automotive on Richard Street. Full service auto repair you can count on.
Brian Wall here with Window World. You know that awesome feeling when you finally find that one place to go to that will give you a top quality product at a great price and then stand behind what they sell you? That's exactly what Window World does. Top quality, energy efficient windows at a great price that keeps more of your money in your bank account. With the absolute best guarantee in the window replacement business. That's why Window World has been the #1 window replacement company in the USA for years, selling more than 1 million windows each year for the past 8 years. That's a lot of satisfied customers, and you can be one too. Save money on installing new energy-efficient windows and save on your energy bills too. You can't lose. And if anything goes wrong with your new Window World windows ever, Window World and I will be there to make it right. Call Window World today or see them online and have them come and give you a free estimate and see why we are so proud of our products and the work we do for our customers. Call Window World or go online at windowworldneflorida.com. And thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
Mia here for MyBookie. Our listeners have been killing it in a year full of surprises. MyBookie is the one book that's got your back. No fluff, no second guessing, straight up action. Does your other sports book pay out when you push on a bet? MyBookie pays you back. And if you're new to the game and not sure where to start, we've got you covered. Step 1, use our promo code 1010XL. That will double your bankroll with a 100% deposit bonus right from the jump. Here's a pro tip to get you rolling. The NFL teams with powerhouse offensive lines are dominating the run game this year, and betting game total unders has been printing money. Stack that with MyBookie's risk-free Thursdays. Why wait? That's right there, a new risk-free odds boost every Thursday. To find the bet, click the Bet Boost tab and scroll down. If it hits, you win. If it doesn't, MyBookie refunds your money. Sign up now and get your double deposit bonus with MyBookie, the best sign-up bonus for Florida bettors. Bet anything, anytime, from anywhere with MyBookie.
AC replacement? If your AC unit is ready to go kaput, then it's time to call Florida Home AC. With over $3,000 in tax credits waiting for you on select systems, take advantage of it. Call 777-4300. Get Florida Home AC to cool you off.
Bowl season is like a college football snow globe. And with 1010XL's Ultimate Bowl Challenge, you can decorate your life with $1,000 in jewelry from Beard's Diamonds if you win.
Let's do this.
Yeah. Get your picks in at 1010XL.com.
Hey, this is Bert Cannon with the First Coast YMCA. Youth sports at the Y can help nurture your future athlete's potential and experience the joy of being a kid. At the Y, we're providing a safe, clean, and fun environment with basketball, soccer, volleyball, gymnastics, elite skills training, and more. Best of all, participation in Legacy Youth Sports League is free with your family membership. Visit fcymca.org to learn all about youth sports at the Y.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to more than just DUI cases. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett of Lockett Law. Battery charges can result in jail time and criminal convictions too, so know before you blow a gasket and hit a loved one or a stranger. Drug crimes like possession of marijuana and cocaine will land you in cuffs too, so know before you blow. In a boating under the influence case, you also have the option to blow or not to blow. So know your options. Know before you blow. Go to knowbeforeyoublow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is now offering ortho walk-in appointments. If you have an immediate need for orthopedic care, contact Southeast Orthopedic Specialist immediately. Avoid ERs and urgent care waiting rooms. For more information, go to se-ortho.com.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
I'm Max Fink here with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. Florida has started the year off as one of the hottest teams in the country in college basketball in this first part of the season. Senior guard Walter Clayton Jr. has carried his momentum over from last year and has played excellent, averaging 19 points per game and dropped 25 in Saturday night's win over Arizona State. The 7th-ranked Gators are set to take on UNC in the Jumpman Invitational tonight at 7. The Sleepers Media Podcast highlighted tonight's matchup in their latest episode with some of the things the Gators do great.
They're a really tough guard because you have skilled bigs who have size, who crash the glass, and then you have a bona fide star in Clayton and another big-time shot maker, well-rounded guard in Martin that, they're going to give most teams fits all year, even if their schedule's been a little fraudulent so far.
It's 75 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Taylor Dahl, hopefully back with us tomorrow. A little bit of NFL news. Andy Reid meeting with media right now. Let everyone know that Patrick Mahomes will do some work today. They will see how it goes.
Gumby, baby.
He has played, like we've talked about, he has played on a high ankle sprain before and has finished a game with that in the playoffs against the Jaguars a couple of years ago. In addition, Andy Reid also confirmed Hollywood Brown has a chance to play on Sunday against the Texans. That one's important because, of course, we saw that injury here in Jacksonville at Everbank Stadium in the preseason when he was carted off. And so certainly glad that he's able to return because, of course, I mean, I don't cheer for the Chiefs by any means, but you at least want to see guys be able to return from an injury like that and not have to sit out the entire season.
Maybe the 39.5 point over-under total may shift if Patrick Mahomes is, in fact, going to be able to play on Saturday against the Houston Texans, because that would indicate, and look, we talked about it yesterday, at 13-1, do you really need him to play? No. It speaks to his competitive character and the fact that this guy is the best player in the league, and he still is out here trying to find a way to play in a game that, quite frankly, does not matter. But at the same time, take care of yourself, Patrick. Come on now.
That would be, you would think that's the smart thing to do is for Reid just to hold him out. But these guys are insane competitors. You can't ever forget that. By the way, it doesn't even feel like the Chiefs have lost one game. They did it to the Bills way back before Thanksgiving. But it just feels like all they do is win. And it's really annoying. But again, the Texans, as of yesterday, were favored by 2.5 in that game. All right, time now for this week's highlights.
Now, here's highlights. Unbelievable! On 1010XL.
Jeremiah Ledbetter gets to Aaron Rodgers and celebrates with a backflip.
Garrett Wilson in motion. Rodgers on the move. Can he get away? No! It's a sack at the 26-yard line. Jeremiah Ledbetter.
You would see him right here, but just a double team. I mean, that's when you get four hands on one guy. You cannot let that guy continue to press. Ledbetter getting the sack. Great effort there.
True freshman Aaliyah Guyton with the dagger 3 as Iowa comes back to beat Iowa State in a top 25 showdown.
A team that's won 8 straight in this series at Carver Hawkeye Arena, 7 of the last 8 overall against the Cyclones. Guyton, how about the freshman? Can't come up at a bigger time.
Simply magnificent. Iowa State stays in their zone, and they are helping so deep to that lane line that closeout to that triple try was much too late.
Helmets and Heels' youngest fan loves football.
Football, 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 football.
It's been a long time coming. They ain't come from my
I'll start with the last highlight first since she stole the show in my mind. That's our friend's daughter. She is only 18 months old, and that is her asking her mom to watch none other than football.
I was going to say, don't tell me those are her first words. That would be
No, not her
iconic.
first words. She has a ton of words. She's an incredibly, very smart child. But no, she literally will say, watch, and her mom will say, what do you want to watch? And she'll say, and then you just heard it, football. Football.
That's awesome.
So she loves the Jags, of course, and she loves the Gators.
Love
Parents
that.
are Gator fans. So if there's not a Jaguars game on at night or a Gators game on at night, she and the fam will watch replays of the Jags and the Gators. So hopefully more Gators replays than Jags as of late.
Speaking of the Gators, because we really haven't gotten them to them this week, they do play a football game on Friday, Lauren, while we're in Vegas, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. We noted, of course, the watch party at Strings on Penman at Jack's Beach this Friday afternoon. 14-point favorites over Tulane.
Yeah, they don't have their starting quarterback, and the backup quarterback is going to play, but has already announced his intentions to enter the portal as well. So I don't think things are going too well there. But look, I also think you have
This is Tulane, not Florida, folks.
Right. You have a Florida team that's healthy. I mean, they have pretty much all of their guys outside of a couple. And so, plus, of course, you have the fact that DJ Lagway is playing. You have Chimere Dike. You have Elijah Badger. You have guys like a Jaden Baugh, Montreal Johnson. This offense has been really explosive with Lagway under center.
Did the news of TJ Searcy entering the transfer portal this morning surprise you?
None of the players entering the transfer portal surprise me anymore. Literally none.
Good answer.
Unless it was maybe DJ Lagway, then I'd be surprised because he's been, of course, the ringleader saying guys need to come back or guys need to come here to play. But none of them surprised me. I guess that's not true. Maybe a Jack Pyburn surprised me because he was raised a Gator. I know people that know his family well. But outside of that, I mean, anyone is up for grabs nowadays. And again, like I try to explain to people that don't follow it that closely, just because someone enters the portal doesn't always mean they leave.
Correct. Look at Patrick Payton.
Correct. The reason they're entering the portal is to see what they can get on the open market. And if they like what they get, then they leave. If they don't like what they get, then sometimes they stay. Other times they then have to find a new school because now the coaches say, you don't want to be here, you're not on my roster anymore. By the way, we also didn't get to this when we were talking Florida State earlier. DJ Uyunglele announced his intentions to enter the draft.
Round of applause, RJ. DJU is going to the NFL draft. At long last, he decided to leave college.
That'll be interesting. All right. Taylor's highlight was none other than Jeremiah Ledbetter sacking Aaron Rodgers. If you listen to this program, you know how she feels about Aaron Rodgers, so she loved that sack. And then, of course, Ledbetter does the backflip, which for an over 300-pound man, that is very impressive. And I do think his landing came up a little short since, of course, I watch a lot of gymnastics. I can critique. His chest was down. He came up a little short. But either way, he did the backflip. I can't do a backflip.
Yeah, I can't do a backflip either.
And I'm not close to 300
When he
pounds.
lined up to do the backflip, I think we all held our collective breath in the press box like, oh, my God, is this? And he didn't stick the landing, but landed on 2 feet, relatively speaking.
Yeah, that worked. And, the Jags did lose, of course, to the Jets, but I know Taylor was excited to see Aaron go down. And then Iowa women's basketball beat Iowa State.
Yes, we're going back in the archives to last Wednesday, a 75-69 nice win for the Hawkeyes at Carver Hawkeye Arena in a top 25 showdown. Iowa State has since fallen out of the AP Top 25. They will have an opportunity to claw back in. It's a tough putt, though, tonight. They face UConn. So, yes, good luck with that to the Cyclones. But for Iowa, the biggest
Is UConn still the best team, or is it still South Carolina?
Yeah, South Carolina, technically UCLA is the number 1 team in the AP Top 25 because they boat raced South Carolina when they came out to Southern California back in November. South Carolina is number 2. Notre Dame, who's come on strong, especially when they play at home at Purcell Pavilion, is number 3. UConn is the 4th-ranked team after suffering their first defeat of the season. And so, yeah, they're still in the top 5. They're top 4. Like, shameless plug for the women's basketball podcast, which I am doing with Mitchell Northam, one of the AP voters up in North Carolina. And we talked about it as we were recording this week's episode last night. The top 4 have separated themselves, and 3 of those names, South Carolina, UConn, Notre Dame, are probably not a surprise.
Correct.
UCLA's emergence, I think, is a bit surprising to some, although the ESPN series that they did with Camila Cardoso from South Carolina last year and Caitlin Clark, the 3rd player was Kiki Rice, who is the point guard for UCLA. And so perhaps if you watch that ESPN Plus series, you got to know Kiki a little bit. Her family is a very influential family in Washington, D.C. I'll leave it at that. And so that's part of, I think, how she came to light. Great basketball player, though, as well. So, yeah, that's the top 4. They've kind of separated themselves. LSU, Texas, USC, Maryland, Duke, Oklahoma round out the top 10 in this week's AP poll on the women's side. And so then that's like the next tier. And then I made the argument last night as we were recording, like 11 to 22, where Iowa is currently ranked. You could shuffle those teams up any which way you want, depending on the week. And I would believe it that is that consistent third tier. The Hawkeyes right now, look, they lost a generational talent to the WNBA in Caitlin Clark. They lost someone who is now the face of a franchise in Kate Martin, taken by the Golden State Valkyries in the expansion draft, and perhaps the most high-profile name they selected of the 11 players that they selected. And so this was always going to be a reload, not necessarily a, hey, right back to being a top 5, top 10 team. I would make the argument without Caitlin Clark, they probably were more like a 22nd ranked team. And so I think what's most impressive, though, and why I loved the highlight this week, Aaliyah Guyton is not only a true freshman who has barely played, she tore her ACL 1 calendar year from last week ago. She tore her ACL her senior year at Peoria when she was in high school in Illinois, hadn't played, wasn't able to play the first few games of the season. The fact that she is on the floor, Iowa clinging to a 2-point lead with 58 seconds left in the game, and that's the play they drew up, was for her to hit that 3 in the top of the key. I mean, it was probably like 34, 35 feet out. That spoke volumes to me, that Jan Jensen, now the head coach at Iowa since Lisa Bluter retired, of course, her longtime lieutenant, has the confidence in that true freshman, that 18-year-old young woman, to say, yep, this is the play. If she's open, you're going to her. And it was not what I think Iowa State was expecting. They were probably expecting Lucy Olson, the star transfer from Villanova, who was the 3rd leading scorer in the country last season, behind, of course, Caitlin Clark. They were expecting her to probably drive it into the paint, try to step back, pull up from 3 maybe herself, but they go with the freshman. The freshman class has been awesome for Iowa so far this season. And again, that's something that I don't think we were talking about this offseason, because it was so, okay, how do you replace Caitlin Clark? Oh, you're going to go get the number 1 player in the portal. Well, you also had this 4-headed monster coming in. And even if they're not contributing 25 minutes each per game, they're in the rotation. And that's a sign of very, very good development of a program, whether it's women's basketball, men's basketball, or football.
Yeah, tonight, speaking of basketball, Florida takes on North Carolina on the hard courts, and as far as the men's teams are concerned, Florida now up to 7 in the AP poll, like we talked about yesterday. North Carolina 6-4, but their 4 losses are to really, really good teams, the likes of Kansas and Auburn and Alabama and Michigan State. So this is a very seasoned North Carolina team. The game is in Charlotte, so of course it's going to be heavy Tar Heels fans. But look, the transition basketball that Florida's been able to deploy and the better defense than we've ever seen under Todd Golden has been impressive. And then the way that they shoot the 3, which we knew as soon as Golden took the job, that's what the offense was going to look like. But the improved defense, like I said, can they contain RJ Davis? I think that's the biggest question.
Yeah, our friends over at MyBookie, they should have the lineup, and they do. Florida is a 3.5-point favorite, which I think speaks volumes of the respect Vegas is giving the Gators right now, whereas, as we discussed yesterday, the national pundits maybe are not, and they're thinking that the metrics and the numbers and stats, they're inflated by a weak strength of schedule. I love this because this is not a neutral site game. I hate the fact that not only do the Florida men have to go to Charlotte for a neutral game against North Carolina, despite it being a great national television opportunity. I understand that. The Florida women have to go face the top 25 UNC women's side on Wednesday in Charlotte.
And Florida's been better as far as women's basketball
and
in a long time.
It's neutral.
Yeah, it's because of the Jumpman Invitational, as you know. And
Michael Jordan's paying. I get it, but this
is the final year for the original 4 Jumpman teams, which I think is interesting how they'll make the scheduling moving forward. But this is a fantastic opportunity for Golden. Not that he cares what those pundits are saying, but for his team to go out there and to show everyone just how deep they are too.
I need it in my veins. I need that, not only that backcourt, which we talked about it yesterday, I think might be one of, if not the best backcourts in the SEC, let alone the country, in Walter Clayton, Will Richard, and Elijah Martin.
And then you have Denzel Aberdeen coming off the bench too.
Absolutely. I think the size in the front court, that mismatch is going to be the X factor tonight between UNC and UF, just because I've said it for weeks that, well, I've been impressed with some of the steps that have been taken by a young front court for the Gators. North Carolina knows they did not replace Armando Bacot when he graduated, finally. Kind of like DJU. He finally left college. They did not replace Armando Bacot. They basically said we have 4 or 5 stretch fours, and we're going to bank on them being able to play center and play together in a 2-man game in the front court. And sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't. A lot of that has to deal with RJ Davis and Elliot Cadeau, if those 2 guards can handle the bulk of the scoring. And Cadeau's been quiet since the first 3-4 games of the season, didn't have a great Maui Invitational. And so he's another name that I would watch for on UNC. How can the Gators contain him, especially since we know RJ Davis is the number 1 priority on the scouting report? Is there another scorer for UNC that could emerge?
Yeah, he's 7 for 27 from 3.
Yeah.
So that, if you're a Tar Heels fan, obviously that has to improve.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to win as many games because, again, you can't rely on just one player. But I'm excited also on Saturday morning. When I say Saturday morning, for everyone here on the East Coast, it'll be noon. But for us in Vegas, it'll be 9 a.m. Florida men's basketball takes on North Florida men's basketball. Matthew Driscoll's squad will head to Gainesville. So our slate on Saturday,
I'm so pumped,
is so fun / overwhelming because we have literally college basketball starting at 9 a.m. Pacific time opposite college football. And then 1 hour later, the NFL kicks off as well. It's a good thing there's going to be a sports book.
It's literally,
it's a good thing.
I mean, thank God we're going to have those giant TVs, and thank God there's TVs everywhere. Speaking real quick to put a bow on women's basketball, we will have a top 10 showdown as well. Number 4 UConn, number 7 USC. That's at 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern on Saturday night. So, yeah, I mean, I'm like trying to figure out how we're going to be able to watch like all the games. I mean, thank God we're going to be in Vegas with all those TVs.
Yeah, it's the sports book at Stadium Swim, all of those things. And I have confirmed that the little girl we heard from at the beginning of the segment is rewatching Jaguars Jets right now.
Oh, my God.
So
God
maybe
bless her.
this time.
Will she watch the Gators basketball game? Are we going to get her into
basketball?
No, just football.
Yeah.
Just football.
You heard her.
Yes.
Football. All right, we've got more to do on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on an epic cool heating and air Tuesday. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This is Helmets and Heels.
This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
Duval! That's right, I'm Tommy Mack, and it's all about Duval and defense. Offense, special teams, baby. Check me out every Friday from 10 to noon on Jaguars Today.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Mia here for Duck Duck Rooter. The holidays are coming, and so is your family. Is your septic system ready? What about that leaky kitchen faucet? Or that toilet that's been struggling to flush? Don't let plumbing chaos steal your holiday cheer. Call Duck Duck Rooter today to fix those issues before Aunt Linda and Cousin Earl blame you for ruining Christmas. Call 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Now, the Performance Painting High Performance Play of the Game. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
When the home team needed a big play, they would look no further than the phenom BTJ. Mac Jones would find the wide out for a 19-yard touchdown, making the score 22-17 with 10:58 left in regulation. The Brian Thomas Jr. score is your Performance Painting Play of the Game.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting.
Mia here, and when I was buying a new construction home last summer, there was no question. Dreamfinders Homes was the builder for me. A big reason why? Their unbeatable interest rates. Right now, you can take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. So find your dream home, take advantage of unbeatable rates, and move in today. I'll say it again, 2.99% year one rate. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Injured in an accident? Have mounting medical bills? Can't work? Don't worry. Zach's got your back. I'm Zach Von Rowan of Von Rowan Law. I will fight for the compensation that you deserve. Set up your free consultation at zachsgotyourback.com.
When you show your home love with a natural gas water heater,
it loves you right back with more cost-efficient, endless hot water.
Hon, hurry it up, please.
And right now, you'll love earning a cash rebate up to $700 when you install an energy-efficient natural gas water heater.
We're going to be late.
Again.
What? Did you say something, hon?
To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
We're HAPPY, because Happy Honda Days are here. Everything is bigger. Bigger selection, bigger discounts, bigger trade-in values. Honda, quality, value, safety. Don't miss Happy Honda Days, going on now at your local Honda dealer.
If you suffer from constant burning, tingling, or numbness in your hands or feet, it could be a serious condition called neuropathy. I'm Dr. Nathan Riddle, DC with Riddle Wellness in Ponte Vedra. Neuropathy is treatable, and we have seen great results by using state-of-the-art, non-invasive therapies to target damaged nerves, reduce symptoms, and improve nerve function. Call 904-395-5598 to schedule your free consultation today and learn how you can live pain-free. Call 904-395-5598.
Now, the Florida State Seminole Report, brought to you by your local Ag Pro, your home team.
Jameer Watkins scored a team-high 29 points, and the Seminoles benefited from an early 29-4 run as they defeated Tulane 77-64 in the Orange Bowl Classic. Watkins also contributed 5 assists, 4 rebounds, and 1 steal in his standout performance. The Noles play again back at the Civic Center after being on the road the past few days to face Winthrop University. I'm RJ Saunders with your Ag Pro Seminole Report.
Ag Pro has been family owned and operated for over 64 years. We take pride in developing long-lasting relationships and offering first-class customer service. Need a new tractor, parts for your used equipment, or reliable service? Ag Pro has you covered. Ag Pro is here to serve you and your operation as your hometown dealer. Visit us today at any of our Ag Pro locations or go online to agproco.com to get started with your Ag Pro experience.
Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, congratulating our Scholar Athlete of the Week, Casey Stahl, senior basketball player at Sandalwood High. Casey has received the Presidential Volunteer Gold Service Award from President Biden and is a member of the National Honor Society.
The 12 Days of Christmas is back and better than ever at Best Bet Jacksonville. From December 12th to the 23rd, we're lighting up the tables with our much-anticipated High Hands promotion, giving away over $330,000 in cash and prizes. The excitement continues to grow each day, starting at $1,200 and climbing up to $2,300, and the chance to set sail on a card player poker cruise. Explore all the excitement at bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Come to Monahan Jewelers' 47th annual holiday sale now with up to 30% off GIA certified diamonds and up to 40% off our entire store. Certified diamonds, gemstones, engagement rings, diamond studs, designer brands. We're not a big box store. We're your local family jeweler with an amazing hand-picked inventory for every budget, and with interest-free financing, enjoy beautiful jewelry with a low monthly payment. Support your local family jeweler this Christmas with up to 40% off our entire inventory. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, open 7 days a week in December.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
When I was 6 years old.
Mia O'Brien, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this epic Cool Heating and Air Tuesday. Taylor Dahl off today. She'll be back tomorrow. Mia, we have some NFL scheduling news, but it doesn't affect the...
You mean they didn't flex the Jaguars and the Titans to prime time next week?
I mean, those are two bitter rivals.
Marquee
fighting for
game.
the AFC South title, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Is
no.
this still 2022?
I wish. No, the Jaguars and the Titans are still staying at 1 o'clock on Sunday, December 29th. But speaking of teams that perhaps have underperformed, if only of late, they have flexed the Atlanta Falcons at Washington Commanders game to Sunday Night Football. Previously in that spot, it was the Cleveland Browns and the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
So obviously those two teams are all but largely out of the, well, the Browns are mathematically eliminated. The Dolphins are largely out of the playoff picture after a loss to the Texans this past weekend. And so the Falcons and the Commanders are still technically alive. And so that will be your Sunday Night Football game on December the 29th.
I was talking to a client of ours who was complaining, and certainly has a valid argument, He had bought tickets for he and his son to go to a Bengals game that was originally on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And then the NFL said, hold on, we want to flex that into Thursday night. So they moved that game to Thursday night. Well, you can't, or he is not able to, and most people probably wouldn't be able to because they don't live there, change everything around. And especially this time of year, that's tricky too. So now not able to go to the game. So I do understand, while us viewers at home who are not affected by Sunday to Thursday, Thursday to Sunday moves by the NFL, there are a lot of people that does affect. So should they not be able to flex out the Thursday nights? Even though, yes, we all want great Monday nights. We all want great Thursday nights.
The Thursday night's a tough one.
But there are fans that are affected.
Right. I mean, I'll tell you on a personal level, back in 2019, speaking of teams that were mathematically eliminated, the Jags hosted the Colts in their season finale, if you remember. And Calais Campbell had those 3 sacks in his final game as a Jaguar.
I have largely forgotten all of 2019 on purpose.
Right. So my parents were in town for that game, but because of scheduling purposes, my mom and dad were afraid they weren't going to make the game because it got moved to 4:00. I forget what we had scheduled because they were planning on a 1:00 kickoff. And so I remember that being a topic of conversation of if our flight leaves at this time, are we going to be able to make the game? And thankfully they were, because I think they flew out the next day, or maybe I forget exactly what it was. Point being, I understand those who travel to games, and especially even this past season with the few of you brave souls who went up to Philadelphia, and that game was supposed to be a Sunday night game, and instead it got flexed to 4:25. A lot of Jaguar fans were going to fly up that morning. And in theory, if you get on a 8 a.m. flight out of Duval and you get there at 10, well, you got the whole day to be in Philly, to do whatever, instead of turning around and immediately having to go to the stadium.
Yeah, I think I got it wrong now that I look at the Bengals schedule, but I just have the reverse. It was supposed to be a Thursday. It got flexed to the Sunday.
Okay.
But either
it's
way.
still significant,
it's just,
though.
Yeah,
that's something you don't see. Yeah, that you don't see as much.
Yeah, it was the Browns-Bengals because, of course, like we talked about, the Browns are completely out of the postseason, and the Bengals are not having a good enough season to make the postseason either. I will say I saw the odds for comeback player of the year, and I thought for sure it would be Sam Darnold. That would be the comeback player of the year.
But what did he come back from? Being bad? Kind of like Geno Smith a few years ago?
Yeah, exactly. But Joe Burrow, coming back from injury, is going to probably win comeback player of the year.
That warms my heart, because if that team had won a few more games, which quite frankly, you can't blame Joe Burrow for the season the Bengals are having. You would absolutely have to blame that defense. And again, another team losing a lot of one-possession games, which at some point or another, that's the sign of a bad football team, not just a team that's unlucky. At the same time, he has put up historic numbers. I understand those who say he shouldn't be in the MVP race because he's on a team that has struggled this season. But for me, the fact that
he won't be. Not necessarily that he shouldn't be, but he won't be.
Right. The fact that he has the 8th best odds to win MVP right now is just, I don't know. I'm okay with it. I respect it. But Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff having better odds than Joe Burrow to win MVP is not something I saw coming in August.
36 touchdowns, 8 interceptions for Joe Burrow, completing 68.5% completion, and then 3,977 yards. So he'll go over 4,000 if he stays healthy. He's a guy that he's had 2 season-ending injuries. Obviously, this year much better, but you do have to wonder moving forward, is he a guy that's more prone to injury? And then, of course, I'm going to bring that conversation here to Jacksonville, where Trevor, not last year, had a season-ending injury, but had so many injuries that he did miss significant time and probably should have missed more games. And then this year certainly has the season-ending injury.
Banners fly forever, though. Joe Burrow went to a Super Bowl in his second season, and ultimately,
had the offensive line been a little bit better, could have won.
And that's ultimately where I think that, not that he's living off of that, because again, as you're seeing this season, he's putting in the work, and that was despite a injury-riddled 2023 campaign and the fact that his defense can't stop a nosebleed right now. And so I think, though, a lot of the Joe Burrow perspective is elevated by the fact of he's proven it to us. He can be a top 5 quarterback. He can elevate his team and get them to a Super Bowl, and so therefore he gets a pass.
Did you know that we have a bowl game tonight, a college football bowl game? We do. And one of the teams is a top 25 team.
No way. Who is it?
Memphis taking on West Virginia in the Miami Beach Bowl. at 9 p.m. Eastern.
How many Miami Bulls are there? I mean, it's kind of become like Tampa. Like, I know for you Gator fans, it was like, oh, we got a Tampa Bowl game. It's Gasparilla. It's not the ReliaQuest, a.k.a. the old Outback Bowl. Sad. West Virginia also introduced Rich Rod as their new head coach. Back to the future they go.
Right. Yep.
So I don't think he will be at this game, but maybe he will. The Mountaineers are 6-point dogs.
Probably scouting it, I would expect. All right, we've got one segment to go here on Helmets and Heels on an Epic Cool Heating and Air Tuesday. Find them online at epichvacservice.com or call 904-859-EPIC. And remember to mention 1010XL for exclusive discounts. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
Has your email been hacked? Are you sure? Most breaches go unnoticed until it's too late. Don't risk your business. DoubleCheck Cybersecurity can protect you before disaster strikes. Visit doublecheck.com for your no-cost risk assessment today.
Epic offers factory direct pricing on AC equipment from Epic Cool Heating and Air. Call 904-859-EPIC. Epic discounts for military, police, first responders, and 1010 listeners like you. Epic Cool Heating and Air.
I'm Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods. While we've earned the reputation as North Florida and South Georgia's preeminent official Rolex jeweler, it's important to point out that at Underwoods we carry other watches too. We start with Seiko, the most reliable, serviceable watch made for under $500. And they've started making jeweled, self-winding watches again and sports watches you'd have to see to believe. Next we have Tavan, the Swiss-made ladies and men's and dress and sport watches, and they start at $575. Another name we carry is Tudor, inspired by Rolex with the same founder and owner, the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation. And their sport watches and chronographs are the rage in Swiss timekeeping, with new in-house watch movements and exciting new model introductions every year. So if you're interested in watches, we have what you want at Underwoods, and all of our watches carry a 5-year warranty. At Underwoods, in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
It's the final days. You heard that right. The final days of Toyotathon are here, and that means now's the time to save big at Arlington Toyota. Mia here. Arlington's lot is packed with hundreds of new Toyotas, and they are all marked with Toyotathon savings, like financing as low as 0% on select new Toyota models. And even though it's the final days to score Toyotathon savings, remember, you still get 60 days to love your new purchase or exchange it for one that you do as part of Arlington's 60-day exchange program. Plus, every new Toyota purchase at Arlington comes with their lifetime warranty. That's unlimited time and miles. Hear me when I say, folks, good things come to those who don't wait, especially when it comes to the final days of Toyotathon. So stop everything and get to Arlington Toyota today. In person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/Toyotathon for full details.
I'm Frank Frangie. Join us Friday as our show goes live from Spring Sports Bar in Jacksonville Beach for a Gator Watch Party presented by Karis Wealth Planning. A free beer for anyone who donates to walk-off charities, compliments of Strings and Karis Wealth. So join us on Friday.
Hey guys, Taylor Dahl here of Helmets and Heels. The Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Milkshake is a holiday tradition that's back for another season. Hand-spun the old-fashioned way, this festive peppermint-flavored milkshake is made with Chick-fil-A ice cream dessert and features chips of crunchy peppermint bark. It's minty, merry, and topped with whipped cream and cherry when served in stores. Order in the Chick-fil-A app now or at your local Chick-fil-A restaurant.
Ready to sharpen your aim or find the perfect firearm? Come to St. Nicholas Guns and Rage. With a huge selection of guns, ammo, and accessories, plus Jacksonville's best indoor range for every skill level. They've got everything you need to hit your target. Whether you're a pro or just starting out, their friendly experts will guide you every step of the way at 4630 Blanding Boulevard or online at stnickguns.com. St. Nicholas Gun and Range. Gear up, shoot a lot, shoot better.
A quality replacement window made with Fibrex material, which is 2 times stronger than vinyl, delivered through a stress-free process. Welcome to Renewal by Anderson. Get the peace of mind knowing Renewal by Anderson handles everything from start to finish. With one call, you'll enjoy working with the best people, exclusive products, and superior process. It's the people, it's the process, it's the product. For a limited time, buy one, get one 40% off all windows and doors, plus 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 18 months. Renewal by Anderson. A better way to a better window. Restrictions apply. License number CGC 1527612. 888-848-9213.
Now that's what I call high-quality H2O. If you want high-quality water in your home at a fair price that won't scare you to death, then talk to someone who knows water and is not a pushy salesman. Contact your local water boy, Keith. I install premium equipment and can repair or even rebuild your existing system. In a business known for aggressive sales tactics, let me show you how my approach is different. If you've got any water problems, contact the water boy at waterboyjack.com.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Joint replacement surgery is always a tough decision, but relief from chronic pain may be just around the corner. Dr. George Barry here, and there's a lot to consider to make sure you get the proper diagnosis and best path back to the range of motion and mobility you had. Age, lifestyle, and overall health all play a part. Let the team at Barry Orthopedics give you a full analysis to help you make the best decision. Log on to BarryOrthopedics.com or call the office to make an appointment. With offices across Jacksonville and ready to help you feel good again, we'll get you back on the road to recovery at Barry Orthopedics.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? You have questions? Call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700. Office is Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
This season, check out our revamped website at southernsteerbutcher.com. Click on the Promotions tab, and our Jacksonville Weekly Grilling Specials will hit you in the face like a hot route over the middle.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
The Jaguars' defense has given up the most total yards in the NFL this season at 5,549. Jaguars analyst Jeff Lageman on where the blame falls on the problems with the defense.
I kind of put this on coaching. If you're running like a zone match, then you better make sure that they know what they're doing, number one. And number two, you better make sure that they have the ability to know what they're doing and to execute it. If they can't do that, then you shouldn't run that play. At some point, you've got to, have some coaching responsibility in this. And this defense is making big mistakes on a weekly basis.
With your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update, I'm Andrew Gibson.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
We love hanging out with you Heeligans from 12 to 2, Monday to Friday. Excited for it on Friday to be 12 to 2 Eastern, 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific time when we are coming at you live from Stadium Swim at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Couple of interesting comments on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures we didn't get to today. Yes, to 859, the Yellowstone finale was awesome. Shout out to you, because I do think at some point in time we will need to talk about Yellowstone, but this is a sports program, so I digress. Our good buddy Charles, who of course loves to hang out with us here on Helmets and Heels on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, 641-1010, but also has visited us with his wonderful golden retriever at a couple of our remotes, reminded me, in case you missed it, men's soccer national championship last night was epic. Vermont wins on a golden goal 5 minutes into overtime. But I think the bigger storyline, Lauren, Vermont and Marshall in a final in NCAA Division I. I understand it's
Vermont was unseeded.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's like I understand it's a pseudo-Olympic sport, and so maybe you can't compare it to basketball or football, but I will, because they still have the transfer portal. They still have an NIL. Not to mention the international pool that you're able to pull from because of players overseas who maybe want to come to the United States and play at the collegiate level. And the fact that Vermont Marshall was the final, I feel like that's encouraging in this era of NIL.
Yeah, so here are the last few winners of the men's national championship in soccer. Clemson, Syracuse, Clemson, Marshall, Georgetown, Maryland, and then 3 Stanfords in a row. Those are not traditional powerhouses outside of Clemson in any other sport, really. Correct. Maryland once upon a time in men's basketball, but
Stanford once upon a time in women's basketball, not too long ago.
Stanford once upon a time in college football. Syracuse in men's basketball. Like, there are a few, yes. But overall, like those are not your Ohio States and Alabamas and Georgias and things like that. So it is a sport that it certainly is fun to watch. If you like soccer at all, men's soccer's on the collegiate level is so fun to watch.
But also, even beyond not being the typical names that we are used to when it comes to just the primary, quote unquote, main four American sports, Vermont and Marshall getting to a championship game in Division I. Like, no Maryland, no Alabama, no Georgia, no one from the SEC in a final. No one from the Big Ten in a final in 2024.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Florida doesn't have a men's soccer team.
Interesting.
And
okay.
I don't know how many other SEC teams do have men's soccer teams. Because of Title IX, of course, you have to have a certain number of men's and women's sports. So it would be fascinating. It would be an interesting case study to see if Florida were to add another SEC teams as well, to add men's soccer, how they would do. I would expect well, because this area of the country is also really good at soccer.
Right.
And has certainly exploded, like we've talked about with Becky Burley.
But the All Coast Conference, a.k.a. the ACC, has a long-standing soccer pedigree. And none of them made the championship game. Marshall and Vermont. Shout out to Donna Murphy, too, because we know she's the biggest Marshall fan that we know. But Charles also brought up a good point on the college football front. And I can't wait to get your take on this, Lauren.
All right.
He says, I don't think I've shared this take with you, ladies. I am viewing the FBS playoffs, the college football playoff, as an NCAA tournament like in basketball. And as we know, when it comes to March Madness, there is always a 12-5 upset. And that is why he is taking Clemson to outright beat Texas. I think that's interesting. And even beyond, Charles, just the 12-5 upset, I am curious if we do see any parallels of, in the years to come of like, hey, that 8-9 game, you got to watch out for it. Like, hey, maybe it's the 11-6. I don't know, because there usually is at least one 11-6, although not at the frequency of a 12-5 in the men's tournament. And so I think that is going to be fascinating to see, especially for those who continue to say, why do we need a 12-team playoff if the favorites are just going to roll to the semifinals?
If you had gotten to choose, so we have, once again, Indiana at Notre Dame, SMU at Penn State, Clemson at Texas, Tennessee at Ohio State. I think the final game is the best one. But if you got to choose a different way to match these teams up, would you have loved to see like a Texas Notre Dame?
Yes.
I love the big brands going up against each other. Like I said, we have Tennessee, Ohio State.
Clemson, Texas is still...
It's still pretty good.
Big. I mean, the fact that, again, akin to the
problem
point...
is Indiana and SMU, okay?
Right, but that's akin to the point about Vermont and Marshall.
Yeah.
This is the beauty of an expanded playoff, but also the NIL transfer portal era. Those schools, if only in a one-year sample size, can rise to the top if they strike gold. And that is a fascinating situation that we have not seen, because when it was FBS, when it was the 14 playoff too, it tended to be those big name brands who have BCS, excuse me.
Yeah.
They have staying power because there's consistency in the operation at the top as well as the resources.
Isn't it wild to think that not that long ago, really 11 years ago, we still had a vote for the team that was going to win the national championship just 11 years ago.
Via the computer system, which meanwhile now we have people bashing Florida basketball because the computers say they're good. Yeah, I can't keep up.
Yeah, just watch the game tonight. Let's bring it back to the Jaguars in this final segment, because I do think when we talked yesterday about potentially no changes being made, obviously that's when people start to lose their ever-loving minds. And of course, some people say they're never going to buy season tickets ever again and things like that. If you were to guess right now, head coach, GM, do they have new jobs, or are those vacancies, I should say, are those actually vacant positions at the end of the season, before the end of the season? Not at all.
At this juncture, it will be at the end of the season.
And you believe both will be vacant. There will be, both of those positions will be fired. Therefore, there will also be a new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator.
Yes.
So all the people that are freaking out that Schott is not going to make any changes, they should relax and enjoy the holidays?
Yes. I understand that. I don't want to use the term PTSD because I don't want to offend any members of our military that do suffer from that awful, awful disease and what it entails. But I understand there are those of you who are triggered by the thought of half-measured changes, of not seeing full sweeping change since 2013. And even then, you could argue that there were still pieces that were kept over from the Mike Mularkey, Gene Smith bygone era. I understand that. I also, from my vantage point, and knowing the people that, number one, not only have expressed interest in a potential opening, but two, have been asked about potential interest in said potential opening. Like, I can't imagine a world in which you go out and and Shad Khan's not doing this, by the way. It's the back channels that you probably saw Josina Anderson tweeted about cryptically, because everything she tweets is cryptic. I can't imagine that you have someone gauging the situation for you and gauging interest in the job. And again, we don't know who is doing that for the Khan family, but I can't imagine that you would go out and have someone do research for you and then come back and say, nah, what we have right now, the egg that's on my face right now, that's all fine and good. I just don't see a world in which a man who has so much pride and so much hope for this city and is putting his money where his mouth is would allow for a second season to be written off as, oh, well, they got hurt. We had injuries.
So Josina's tweet from 12 hours ago, there are teams out there posturing as if they don't know they're going to make changes when it's apparent the tide has turned. Get ahead in the public interview process. So
I can't.
That screams Jaguars. I'm sorry.
I can't. And then she sent the one about the back channels, which I got such a kick out of. I was like, okay, thank you, Josina. Thank you for keeping us laughing, but also for doing great, news breaking and intel and speaking with sources that, look, she's worked at multiple networks for a reason. She has a lot of contacts in this industry. So I don't question it, but yes, and not just from league sources, but knowing the situation in the building right now. Yes, this is a still young team that I don't think is going to pack it up and lay an egg in Las Vegas, especially because they're going up against a team that's currently picking ahead of them in the NFL draft. But at the same time, this is a group where it's very clear it's not working right now. The path that they are on, it's not working. And I heard Jeff Lageman this morning on Jaguars Today, and Ryan Nielsen said that these breakdowns that we're seeing, these mental breakdowns, that's not us. And Log said,
but it is.
Well, we're 14 weeks into the season. This is the tape that you've put out there. This is who you are. Maybe you should instead be changing your tune to how can we fix this, But you probably should have done that 6-7 weeks ago.
Well, clearly they should have done a completely different design on the offense and the defense in the offseason. And while they, quote unquote, took the run game down to the studs, I wouldn't come on air and say the run game has been excellent this season. It's been better, but still not great. And do they not call enough runs, right? We can go into that all day long. But the offense as a whole was unproductive. It was one of the worst in the NFL in terms of scoring in the first half. And then the defense certainly is the worst in several categories in all of the NFL. So what you constructed in the offseason is a bad product on offense and a bad product on defense. Really, the only special teams is the saving grace. And that's not going to win you any football games. So
right back where we were in 2019. Speaking of 2019.
So the head coach designed the offense, certainly with collaboration and things like that. But the head coach designed the offense. The head coach was in charge of hiring the defensive coordinator after firing the defensive coordinator. And all of the quote unquote talent or lack thereof that you see is attributed to the general manager. So how can you move forward when this team has won 3 games and was honestly lucky to win 2 out of those 3? And the only dominant victory the Jaguars had certainly was against the Patriots.
Has won 4 games in the last calendar year.
Yes.
Think about that.
Yes.
That's the more jarring, in my opinion, stat. The more jarring stat is not that you've won 3 games this season. It's that you've won 4 games in the last calendar year.
It seems like only 3 in the last calendar year.
Well, 3 wins this year, right? And then the one against the Carolina Panthers because the Monday Night Football game against Clemson was on December the 5th.
So, yeah. But I think the fact that the defense is worse this year than last year sends all sorts of red flags and signals that the person in charge of everything needs to go. And then the person that's designing the talent or constructing the talent's also not good enough. It's not like this roster is top 10 in the league and they only have 3 wins. That would be like the Jets, honestly. I think the Jets have maybe a top 10 roster, but only 4 wins in this.
Or the Cincinnati Bengals only have 5.
Right.
But in contrast, the Cincinnati Bengals, well, yes, the defense has been their Achilles heel this season. The offense has performed beyond everyone's wildest dreams. But additionally, in that same calendar year that I alluded to, since those 2 teams, the Jaguars and the Bengals, met on Monday Night Football, with Jake Browning at quarterback, not Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor and company were able to make a playoff push. And they were technically the last team left out of the postseason, not the Jaguars. They were slated to pick 18th overall in this past April's NFL draft. And that is where, again, you can write that off as an injury. Like, you can dismiss the 2023 Bengals campaign as Joe Burrow got hurt. You want to know why? Number one, because Joe Burrow has bounced back and is playing at an MVP level. Mm-hmm. And he certainly is the face of your franchise and is your entire team. You could make the argument. Not that there aren't pieces and there aren't all-stars elsewhere, but let's be real. Joe Burrow is that, it carries that team. And secondly, because even with Jake Browning, you were winning football games last December. And that speaks to coaching.
The Panthers-Jags game at Everbank was New Year's Eve.
So yeah, that was in December too, yeah.
So the Jags in this calendar year have only won 3 games. Like in 2024 have only won 3 games.
Oh, sorry. So calendar year. I meant going back 365 days to like December 17th, 2023. So in the last 365 days, they have won 4 games.
Yeah, it's basically it's a lot of losing. Whether it's in December of last year, January of this year, it's still a lot of losing. The only reason that the Jaguars beat the Panthers is the Panthers were the absolute worst team in all of the NFL, and C.J. Beathard came in and instead of Trevor Lawrence and actually played pretty well. And I know some people are wondering, should Mac Jones take a seat? Should C.J. Beathard, easy for me to say, come in? I don't know that that's getting you where you need to go at this point in time, but it feels, to me, I think the Jags win Sunday and then lose the final 2.
Yeah, they're going to win one of the next 3. Again, I always go by the eye test of what does this team look like. This team doesn't look like a 3-14 squad. Maybe it is. I didn't think the 2020 team was a 1-15 squad. Looking at them, even in December, I thought they'd win one more game, and they ultimately did not. They look like a 4-13 outfit. That's what this team looks like right now. Could I see them getting to 5 wins like the Chargers did a year ago? Maybe, because that's the comparison that I've made over the last several weeks. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that Titans team in particular next Sunday at the Bank, Lauren, because if Mason Rudolph is the starter, what did we begin the program talking about? Aaron Rodgers hurt you because Aaron Rodgers has an ability to read a football field. Even if he has minimal athletic ability to leave the pocket, he is able to hurt you with his vision and with his arm way more than Will Levis is. Mason Rudolph is obviously not at Aaron Rodgers' level, but at the same time, can he operate at a more efficient clip where he can see a wide open Chigakonkwo, he can see a wide open Calvin Ridley?
By the way, while we're flying Thursday night, we have the 9-5 Denver Broncos taking on the 8-6 Los Angeles Chargers.
Elite. Although I don't know if Amazon Prime is streaming anywhere in the air. That's really that marketing opportunity. They need to get on that, Bezos. Get on that.
Basis. All right, that's going to do it for us. Hopefully Taylor Dahl is back with us tomorrow, but of course XL Primetime comes up next. For Mia O'Brien, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for Taco. We will talk to you tomorrow, and then on Friday live from Vegas. It's 10 XL.